Thank you for inviting me to chair this really important panel discussion today. I'm only getting to know the organisation Enactus because I'm just back in Ireland after being abroad, and I thank Jill McMorrow, who works with me in Enterprise Ireland, for asking me to chair this panel. Just for information, I manage the Enterprise Ireland Women in Business initiative, helping to encourage more women to start businesses in Ireland and to help raise the bar in terms of having more females in senior leadership in Irish industry. So that's my background. So I want to hear a little bit more about you guys. So on this panel, I'm sure you know all of these people already. We have Emma Baker, Nicole Ryan, and Tammy Darcy. So rather than me introducing each of you, I'd love to hear the quick intro, maybe starting from yourself. Please.
Yep, my name is Tammy Darcy. I'm the founder of an organisation called the Shona Project. Do you want me to tell you more?
Wonderful, thank you, which is a fantastic project. By the way, I can't wait to experience it myself.
Perfect. My name is Nicole Ryan, and I'm the founder of Alex's Adventure.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Nicole Ryan, founder of Alex's Adventure.
Alex's Adventure.
Yeah.
Super. Thank you.
Thanks, Sinead. My name is Emma Baker, and I'm the owner of Aspire Agency. So it's an event management consultancy agency that works with non-for-profits.
Super. Now, this is not part of the script, but I'd love to go backwards and just ask how each of you are involved in Enactus specifically.
Well, I was actually introduced to Enactus this year, so it's my first time being involved in a third level programme. So I had participated as a judge in the Pathways to Progress with Citibank in April, and then today here as a judge.
As a judge?
First, yeah.
Fantastic. Great. Wonderful
Thanks for having
talent
me.
here today.
Oh, it was fantastic, and congratulations to everybody.
And commiserations to those who didn't get through, but next year. And yourself for Enactus?
I was the same as Emma. I was introduced to it in UCC down in Cork this year, so I was there as a mentor for a panel that they were doing, and then I was invited to be a judge here today.
Wonderful. So another judge. Okay. Power on the stage.
I started judging, I think, I can't remember when it was, but it was online. It was during COVID, and this is the first in-person one I've been able to come to. So
Fantastic. So a judge again today. Wonderful. Okay. So we'll try not to hold you back from your important judging duties, but I have 3 questions to ask each of you. Starting from yourself, tell us about your own experience in the field of social entrepreneurship. When did you start getting involved in social entrepreneurship?
I was actually a social entrepreneur before I knew what it meant, before I even heard of it. I worked in what's now SCTU for a number of years in the School of Education and the School of Business. And while I was there, I was doing a master's in business and had an idea for something that I'd wanted to do for a long time. With the Shona Project has a very personal background to me, but when I, as an adult, I used to coach girls soccer. I've coached girls soccer for many, many years, and I could see so many girls turn up to soccer training every week, and I could see they were stressed, or, you know, they might be lacking a role models, and for some of them it was the only hour in the week where they could just be themselves and, you know, be part of a team. And that, I suppose, is where the Shona Project came from. I went on to do a master's in business and a master's in education, and when I did both of them, I looked at business models and how they might work, and that's when I kind of got to know social entrepreneurship. I did my first workshop in a school in Kilkenny in 2016. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, still don't have a clue what I'm doing. But since then, we have just passed 30,000 girls in every county of Ireland that have been through our workshop, so we've just kind of grown since then.
That's fantastic. 30,000 girls in every county in Ireland. Wonderful. Maybe I'll stick with you rather than going to each person. What inspired you to get involved initially? Is it that personal project that you mentioned.
Yeah, so the organisation is named after my sister Shona. And when we were 14 and 15, she was diagnosed with a brain tumour. She spent the rest of her life in full-time nursing care. She actually just passed away earlier this year after 30 years of illness. But she was this beautiful young girl who really wanted to make an impact in the world and never got to do that. So it's named after her, but it was really my own experience around that and other things. So when I was going through that, I went from having a sister who was right there every day in the bed beside me to her being gone, and there was no support around that. There was no, even acknowledgement of the impact that would have had on me. And at the same time, I was being bullied in school, and my parents were separating, and I ended up going from a straight A student to a single parent at 18. So it's very much these amazing young girls that go through hard things as teenager, and by the time they become young women, they already are lacking in self-confidence, and they already maybe have a perception of themselves. So it's obviously very personal to me, as in what could somebody have done for me at 15 that might have changed where I eventually ended up as an 18-year-old, and how could somebody have supported me? And that's really where the Shona Project comes in now.
Wow. Fantastic. What's your vision for the Shona Project? Where do you see this going? Where would you like to see the Shona Project going?
Well, every year since we started, we've at least doubled our impact. So we've had all these workshops, but a couple of years ago we started a festival called Shine Festival, which Emma actually runs for us. And we went from having 350 girls at that to we brought it online during COVID, and we had over 1 million video loads in 3 days. And then we brought it back in person last year, and we had, thousands and thousands of girls that accessed it online and in person. So I just see us growing our impact and becoming part of these girls' lives from the age of 11 to 18, where they know there's a platform there that can support them and to help them to define what being a woman means to them, because at the moment there's a very narrow view of what we expect from our women, and just to support them, figuring that out for themselves. What I'd love to do eventually, when we're always fighting for funding and resources, and we're always booked up 12 months in advance, but what I would love to do eventually is to replicate it for the boys, because I think the boys need similar support in defining what it means to be a man in the same way we do for the girls. So that's the long-term plan, but we need a few checks written before we can get to that.
Okay, I was going to ask you what the challenges are. So money, funding, clearly.
Funding is huge. As I said, we're booked out consistently 12 months in advance, so we're trying to keep up with the demand. And since COVID, these challenges are getting more and more serious, And I believe if we want more female entrepreneurs and politicians and leaders and all of that, it's during these years that we need to do the work. It's too late when they're already out in the workplace for us to really take those barriers out of their way. So that's a huge challenge, and also just trying to keep that authenticity to what I've done, because the bigger it gets, the harder it is to keep that authentic thing that runs underneath it, and that makes it work so well. So still figuring
Well
that out.
done, well done. Fantastic. Thank you. I might skip on to Emma, as you were mentioned on the Shine Project. Can I ask you the same question, Emma? What brought you to the world of social entrepreneurship in the beginning?
Well, I think it's important that I'm more entrepreneur. I work with social entrepreneurs. So a lot of my clients, Tammy, being one, are social entrepreneurs. So a lot of the projects stem from that and have, I suppose, bigger purpose in terms of what they're doing than what they're doing day to day. Like, I suppose it's about the impact that they're making. I had 15 years experience working with huge brands, corporate brands, agencies, and it was a passion of mine to start working on things that were actually making a difference. So I took a step back from having full-time employment to setting up my own business to actually start working on projects that are making a difference. That was kind of the drive for me.
Okay. And just one other question in terms of women in social entrepreneurship. Have you seen, is it balanced? Is it more women? Is it more men? If it's one way or the other, why?
From what I've seen in my experience, it's more women. And I suppose probably to say, like we've spoken there briefly of the challenges, they need support. They wouldn't have the support of what projects that are funded and sponsored by corporates have. So like the challenges that they face, I think personally require more drive. And I've definitely seen that of the commitment of what my clients put into their projects, their day to day. Like I say to Tammy, when are you going to take a break? It's just very important, to me to look at the differences between them. And I think it's just the commitment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously you're working on the Shine project. Are there any other interesting projects that you'd like to share with us here that have inspired you?
Yeah, that's actually one of the name is Aspire.
Oh, yeah,
So that's to aspire to make a difference. To me, I work with the Big Idea, which again is another educational program, which is supporting students in creativity for second year students, and covers topics like sustainability, homelessness, diversity. So that would be one. Another one last week was Women for Election, which is encouraging women into politics and the importance of having women for the election next year. Another one would be, say, Creative Ireland, which are a larger, obviously, organisation, but implementing new design laws into the country and working with the Institute of Design of Ireland, things like that, yeah. So a longer term vision of not just the event of what we host on the day, but the impact that it leaves afterwards for each of them.
Fantastic. I think Bula Boss here as well.
Thank you.
Nicole, the same question for you. How did you start out in this world of social entrepreneurship?
For me, like Tammy, I didn't know what social entrepreneurship was, and it was never a passion of mine. I came from a world of engineering. I did engineering in college, so I worked at sea as a marine engineer. And I became a social entrepreneur from a personal side of things. I think a lot of social entrepreneurs become social entrepreneurs because the problem that they're trying to solve has affected them in some way, shape, or form, personally or their families. So in 2016, my brother was 18, and he decided that he would move into the city, Cork City. He was just starting out at life. He went to a party, he took a drug, and he died from an overdose over that. It was 4 days being by his bed, watching him slowly die, and I started to realize the problem that was partially responsible for killing my brother was the lack of drug education in secondary schools and just schools in general. There was education there, but it's very outdated. Drug scene has moved on really, really quickly, so we hadn't moved with it. And if young people were given the option to learn about it, they could make better choices and more informed choices for themselves. So that's how I kind of started 7 years ago.
7 years ago. And where are you at now? What is going on?
So at the moment, so Alex's Adventure has been in over 100 schools in Ireland. Year on year, I deliver workshops, be it to someone as young as a 6th class, because the drug problem is still there, all the ways into college and that kind of stuff. I have single-handedly, just by myself, because it's just me, at the moment, impacted over 10,000 students across Ireland. And I am one of 7 social enterprises in Ireland that holds the social enterprise mark. So I'm certified social enterprise for people and planet and that kind of stuff. But my legal structure is a little bit different because it is a limited commercial model. That's how I chose to structure my social enterprise.
And where do you see it going? I mean, are you going to continue operating by yourself, or would you like to expand?
No, yeah, the idea is to expand. It's just finding the right fit, but also looking at different ways that I can progress Alex's Adventure. So I'm looking at it as an ed tech company now and looking to advance it in that kind of space. So I have a couple of ideas. We started some work around that area. So hopefully in the next few years, you'll see Alex's Adventure as something that is in every school in Ireland.
Fantastic. And how have you found, your partners? Is it through like knocking door to door, or is it through the Department of Education, or how easy is it to sort of get into the schools?
I suppose for me, there was an advantage because the story of my brother was a big national, international story. So I used that to my advantage. But in the first year, I did contact a few schools, but now I'm at a point where I don't contact any school. It's word of mouth, and actually the schools are the biggest sellers. So the teachers, the students that have participated in the workshop, year on year, I take on new schools and repeat schools constantly. So for me, I actually don't have to look for them. They come looking for me because it's something that works and it's something that has an impact for their students going forward.
So you're potentially saving lives around the country, which is I think that deserves a big round of applause. And if I have to stick with you, have you looked outside of Ireland to see what other countries are doing? Have you picked up ideas, or how are we faring in terms of informing our youth of the dangers of drugs?
So we have a fantastic national policy, which is the drug and alcohol strategy, which is harm reduction led, which is kind of how the drug problem should be looked at. It's a health issue as opposed to, criminalization and that kind of stuff. But where we rank is not great. Australia are very good. They're light years ahead. Portugal, of course, they have a whole different model there where they decriminalize and they pump all that money into healthcare as opposed to punishing people. But we are starting to slightly move towards that. Like, I'm never going to see the change that I want in the world in my lifetime, but the hope is that I can inspire others to create and keep that moving going forward, so that one day we do get to a place where it actually does happen.
I mean, if I was to throw out the question to each of the three of you, what would be the one thing that would be a game changer for you guys in each of your individual respective areas that could happen in Ireland today to make it, to realise your vision quicker? I'll start with you, Emma. It's a tough one for you.
It to me comes back to, I suppose, the responsibility of companies in supporting non-for-profits and getting behind these projects and backing them through the schools. Like, again, part of my experience is, struggles I had as well in school and my own experience. And, you've seen it today, like we're talking there of the impact that the Shona Project has had. These are memories and it's going to shape them. So I suppose the struggle is getting corporates behind it, getting government and departments, Department of Education, getting people behind to back these, because we need funding to be able to run them. That's, probably the biggest challenge, because the more funding we get, the more students that we can support, and they each get individual takeouts out of it.
That's good. Fingers crossed. I'm sure you'll get there. Nicole.
I think in the social enterprise space, it's to be seen as legitimate businesses. We're businesses with impact. We're not just charities, non-for-profits. We do things for free. We have bills at the end of the day. If we can become sustainable in their own right, we can make more impact. But we need the help to do that. We're not just, like taking funding or just applying for funding. That's not sustainable for us long term. We need everybody to see that we are actually businesses. That's how we operate. We have business models. We make revenue, all that kind of stuff. But we also align ourselves with impact and SDG goals and that kind of stuff. So when kind of commercials and corporates and stuff like that see us like that, I think there could be a lot of change that can happen. And that's one of the things that I hope I'll definitely get to see in my lifetime.
Fair point. Good.
For me, I agree with what Nicole said. Like, we're a non-profit organisation, so we fall between charities and traditional businesses, and people don't really understand how we work. What I would love to see, and I'm always talking about this at any business event that I'm at, is a move from CSR to social impact investment. So corporates who have that money, who have the remit to make that change, to actually invest in innovation within the social enterprise space, as opposed to throwing money at a problem that they don't really care about or believe in to be seen to tick a box. And I'm not saying everybody does that, but like, if you, and it's a very simple analogy, if you give an organisation €100, say, to feed a community, they'll be still hungry, when that money is gone, and they'll be back for more money. Whereas if you invest in a social enterprise and help them to scale, they probably will be back for more money, but it'll be to add on level 2, level 3, level 4 to what they do. So I'd love to change that mindset around CSR and have corporates really get stuck in under the hood of who they invest in.
Very good. Thank you. So hopefully there are people in the room here that can actually help make that change for these ladies on stage. Can I throw out to the room, or can I ask the room for questions? Would you like to stand up? We can hear you. Thank you.
Sorry.
Nice to meet you, Tight Squeeze.
I was quite interested in what you have to say, Nicole, interested in what you do. I personally had a drug talk in my school. I would be interested to hear what kind of key messages you try to get across in your talks and how they are differentiated from, say, more traditional approaches.
Yeah, so I believe in the harm reduction model, meaning reducing the harms to the user. So I'm not telling you what you should be doing. I'm giving you all the options that are available, and you make the choice at the end of the day. So sometimes when we look at social enterprises and people who have a social enterprise, sometimes we get asked, what's your core message? And people may think that my core message is don't do drugs. It's actually quite the opposite. My core message is that we have choices in life, and when we make a choice, it carries a consequence. It's either good or bad, and whatever happens, happens. So I'm telling you about different types of drugs that are relevant to your life, to your day-to-day, existence as a student. I'm talking about CPR and overdose, because young people don't understand that you can use CPR in an overdose situation. And then I share my personal story of Alex and the 4 days of how I watched him die day to day. And then I always just say that the choice will always be yours. No matter what I do, no matter what I say, or your parents say, whoever says, we can't stop you from doing it, but just hesitate when you're making that decision. And that can save your life. And that's what it's all about.
Yes. Any other questions for the panel? Good question.
I was struck by Nicole's comment there that sometimes you don't get to see the change, the real change that you want in the world. And sometimes entrepreneurs can get tired, and I know there's a strong motivation. Do you get tired sometimes or frustrated? And what would you advise? What would you advise the room?
If I could take a nap right now, I would.
What would you advise all of these young people here today when you get frustrated with something?
I think one of the things that I always say, especially when I'm talking to younger people, is you don't have to have all the answers. So when I started the Shona Project, I thought if I want to make this a success, I need to know everything about how to market it, how to finance it, how to fund it, how to pay wages, how to, and then have all the expertise. I should probably have a degree in like some kind of mental health discipline to be able to add value. You actually don't. You need to surround yourself with people who have that knowledge, and to be not afraid to ask the questions. So when I started the Shona Project, pretty much every day for the first year, while I was working in what was WIT at the time, I would ask somebody for, can I buy a coffee? Can I have a quick Zoom chat with you? Like Nicole and myself met very, very early on. The network and the support that we have for each other and give to each other is absolutely second to none. And you don't get it in the traditional entrepreneurial space as much. And I would say social entrepreneurs are the busiest people you'll ever meet, because they're always underfunded and they're always overworked, but they're so good to each other. And that's why I would find it very hard to go back into the for-profit space, because one of two things that I think are vital to every person's well-being is a sense of purpose and a community. And we might be wrecked, but I think we'll all say that we do have that, which is great.
Yeah. And I also think that if it was so easy, it'd be done already, okay? So take your time. And that's something that I've burnt myself out at the start doing, because I was like, I have to fix this issue, I have to figure it out, I have to design new services, do this, that, the other, and I just burn myself out constantly. So if it was so easy, it'd be already solved. Take the time that you need. And God forbid somebody else solves it, great. You can team up with them and you can just move on and do other things. But take your time and take care of yourself.
Emma, do you have any words of advice to aspiring?
Probably the same. It was something that was said at an entrepreneur workshop I was at last June, is it's never going to be perfect. So it's not going to be perfect tomorrow, but start. It won't be perfect in 3 months, 3 years. There'll always be changes, new challenges. We've seen that through the pandemic. We all had to redeploy, and just prioritize your well-being and everything you do. Like I always say, we're like batteries. So we do tend to overwork for the love of our jobs and the purpose of it, but to also recharge and look after yourself in that. But yeah, that's it. To me, the one thing is it's never going to be perfect. You can only do so much.
Little baby steps, right?
Yes, that's exactly what I said today. Small steps at a time.
Small steps. Thank you to each of the panelists. If there are no other questions, hang on, we have another question, sorry.
And it's an open question. There was something that was, when I was chatting to my team, I call them my team, how do you overcome the generation gap where it's the young people with the ideas and the concepts, but it's a completely different generation that actually hold the cash?
It's a really good question. Well, we work with young people, and with every year that goes on, I get more and more ancient as far as they're concerned, and less relevant, and all the rest. Yeah, we have an ambassador program, so we have over 100 ambassadors all over Ireland, and they are as important to our strategic direction as the governance, the board are. Every AD we run by them, and we're very much more listening than telling to those girls. I also strongly believe that everybody who's over the age of 40, 35, 40, should have a mentor who's under 30, and not a mentee, a mentor. And the ideas that they come up with, and the creativity and the entrepreneurial spirit, but also the sense of social awareness that they have, and how much they are not motivated by money the way we are, that they actually want to do work that they care about. And we need to be aware of that, because if we want to recruit them, we have to make sure that that's part of the culture within our organisations as well. So definitely listening and asking as many questions as possible.
Really good point there about the mentor under 30, under 25. That's a fantastic idea. I'll take that with me. Any other questions? I think so, yeah. I'm looking at the clock here. I think we're up for time. So thank you. Sorry. I was looking more at the clock. Thank you very much, thank you so much for your honesty. And very nice to meet you all, and I look forward to following your paths into the next period. Thank you very much, and good luck to
Thank you, everyone.
this afternoon.